Fox News. Breaking news.
Nancy Pelosi looked the FBI straight in the eyes, heard them say Eric Swalwell had an intimate relationship with a Chinese spy, and then did absolutely nothing. She kept him on the House Intelligence Committee, the committee that oversees the CIA, the committee with access to America's most classified secrets. Kevin McCarthy was in that briefing room. He turned to Pelosi and asked, how could you keep him on this committee knowingly? She had no answer, because there is no answer. This isn't Swalwell's scandal anymore, folks. This is Nancy Pelosi's scandal. This is a Chinese intelligence operation that penetrated the heart of American government, and the Speaker of the House was the gatekeeper who let it happen. Now think about what this means for you. Every intelligence briefing Swalwell sat on, compromised. Every classified operation discussed in that committee room potentially leaked to Beijing. Your sons and daughters serving overseas, your family's security, the technologies that protect this nation, all of it put at risk because Nancy Pelosi protected her protege over protecting America. It's not just Washington corruption. This is a foreign intelligence operation that succeeded because Democrat leadership valued party loyalty over national security. And here's what should terrify every American. If they did this with Swalwell, who else? How many other compromised members are sitting in classified briefings right now because leadership knows and doesn't care? The Chinese Communist Party infiltrated the most sensitive committee in Congress. They got exactly what they wanted, and the people who let it happen, they're still walking free, still holding power, still pretending they know nothing. Your government failed you, deliberately. And speaking of protecting American strategic interests while Democrats were busy protecting Chinese assets, President Trump is doing the exact opposite. This breaking news dropping from the White House, over $30 billion announced to secure America's critical mineral supply chains. And here's the key detail. A specific Alaskan project was named as a strategic asset for U.S. mineral independence. Now, I've been to the Vizsla Copper drilling site in Canada. I've seen it myself. I've held the core samples. But what's happening right now in Alaska is bigger than most people realize. President Trump just unveiled Project Vault, a $12 billion strategic minerals reserve designed to stockpile essential resources and keep America from depending on hostile nations like China for the materials we need. This is exactly the kind of forward-thinking leadership that protects our national security. Vizsla Copper, they trade in the United States under VCUFF and in Canada as VCU.V. So check the exclusive briefing. It's only for Next News viewers. The link is down below. We thank them for supporting this program. You see, that's how you protect American interests. You don't hand our secrets to Chinese spy. You secure our resources and build our independence. Now, here's where the story gets even more damning. We've got the timeline. Christine Fang's relationship with Swalwell ran from 2011 to 2015. Guess what year Pelosi put him on the Intelligence Committee? 2015, same year. Now, Matthew Kwan is asking the question everyone should be asking. How does China sponsor a candidate, cultivate him for years through a honeypot operation, and then somehow that exact candidate ends up on the most sensitive intelligence committee in the United States government? You see, that's not a coincidence. That's an operation. And wait to see what people are saying about who really knew. Hear this right now. Here's Speaker McCarthy talking with Jesse Waters. Kevin McCarthy, former Speaker of the House. Bombshell news has dropped. House Speaker Pelosi knew in 2019, says Conservative Brief, that disgraced former Congressman Eric Swalwell had an intimate relationship with a Chinese spy.
Hey, Mac, what'd you know about Swalwell?
Well, let's do a quick history. When I became leader in 2019, I heard that Swalwell, that the FBI had warned Congress and the leaders when Nancy Pelosi appointed him to the Intel Committee a couple years ago. And you've got to understand how big this is. You only get appointed by the leader. It is the most coveted position in all of Congress. And he gets on in his sophomore year, and the FBI comes knocking to John Boehner and Nancy Pelosi and say, you got a problem here. This person has a relationship with a Chinese spy. Lo and behold, when I find out, because I wouldn't have known this before, I ask for a briefing, and I have Nancy Pelosi there with me. Now the FBI has a number of years and gives us the complete investigation on this. I literally turn to her in that room and say, how could you keep him on this committee knowingly? And Swalwell is her protege. Schiff and Nancy Pelosi protected this person, elevated him, made him like vice chair of the steering committee. He was so protected by Nancy Pelosi, she wouldn't remove him. I'm in the minority. I go to the floor and make a privileged motion based upon the information I have to remove him from the Intel Committee. They have 200 other members they could appoint there. She brings the hammer down. All those Democrats, every single one of them, vote against it to keep him on. 2 years later, I become Speaker. Hakeem Jeffries nominates him to go back on steering. I sit down with Hakeem and say, please, go get the FBI briefing, and let me tell you this, he's not going on the Intel Committee based upon the information I have, and you need to have it as well. Still protected the whole time by Nancy and Adam Schiff. And remember what they did in this governor's race. They hate Katie Porter so much when she started to rise. Swalwell wasn't even in the race. They push him in the race, and they put their whole apparatus around it. The California Teachers Association endorses. The SEIU, the strongest union in California. They don't just endorse, they pour millions of dollars into a super PAC. He was on the way, but there was one endorsement missing, Nancy Pelosi. And the moment it breaks, and remember where it breaks, the San Francisco Chronicle. This is the same newspaper that criticized me for removing Swalwell from Intel or trying to remove him before. And now they write this story. She leaves instantly. Nancy Pelosi starts to move to remove him.
Oh, my God. Unbelievable. Pelosi's decision to keep Swalwell on the Intelligence Committee despite his compromised past raises questions about the accountability. What about Swalwell's own indiscretions at the Democrat gatherings? Here's a progressive commentator. Nomiki Konst says, as a freshman congressman, Eric Swalwell hit on her aggressively in the midst of top Dems and journals. Years later, he slid into her DMs. Oh, my goodness.
So I'm sitting at the table with some commissioners and other people, and Eric Swalwell comes over. I didn't know who he was. He was a recently elected congressman. I think he was on his first or second term. And he sat down with us, and he bought me a Prosecco, which I just thought was to celebrate. And then he started to like zoom in on me and lean in. And then he got up and he went to the bar again to get another drink. And somebody at the table said to me, you know, he's really aggressively flirting with you. We were all talking as a group, and then suddenly he's just like all on me and like, you know, touchy-feely, like touching my hands. And they're like, he's married. And I was like, well, I'm not interested in him. But then I was thinking as I was sitting there in that moment in 2018, as he was touchy-feely and it was very clear to everybody that he was flirting with me and that he was married, I was just thinking, I don't want to be seen talking to somebody who's married. So I got really uncomfortable because I didn't want my reputation to be affected by that, even if I was not, you know, flirting back. So I got up and I left. Flash forward 6 years later, he shows up in my DMs again on X. And it was about something completely unrelated. And I was like an opening for a conversation. And I literally don't think he knew who I was from the first time. So what my takeaway from that experience, nothing happened between us, was that he was doing it out in the open in a DNC meeting with like Donna Brazile in the room and like senators and Congress members and DNC members and press. And I'm like, you are so reckless that you are just out here in the open acting like this. So it was an open secret that he at least cheated on his wife. Like for me, I didn't know anything beyond that. And it wasn't anything, super alarming because there's plenty of people, unfortunately, who act like that. But
right out in the open, in front of top Democrats and press. And Western Lensman, question for Hakeem Jeffries.
Some within your leadership have said that they were not aware of the allegations against Swalwell until that San Francisco Chronicle story last week. Yet there are other Democratic lawmakers who have said they have heard rumors for years that he was flirtatious and a womanizer. So can you specify what you knew? And if you did not know about those characterizations or rumors about him, shouldn't you have known as leader?
I learned about the allegations the same way that the overwhelming majority of people learned about the allegations, which was the San Francisco Chronicle article, and it was shocking. We issued a statement immediately as it relates to the situation that was unfolding. That statement strongly speaks for itself. My current view of the situation is that there are ongoing criminal investigations.
Oh, come on. I'm not going to comment, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, completely avoiding the question. Another California Democrat pleading ignorance, Robert Garcia, claims he had never heard the rumors about Swalwell. Jeffries deflecting. Exclusive, suspected Chinese spy targeted California politicians. His relationship with Fang Fang was 2011 to 2015. China sponsored him over Pete Stark and then directed Pelosi to put him on intel. It's disgusting. Makes me so nauseous. I mean, listen, here's what the media is not going to want you to understand. The establishment. It wasn't a failure of intelligence. It was not incompetence. It was a system. Pelosi, who Hawley says had more dirt on more members than any intelligence agency on earth, controlled every appointment to that committee. The FBI came to her with proof of Chinese compromise. She kept Swalwell anyway. Why? Because compromised members are useful. Useful for leverage, useful for control. China has been caught funneling money to Democrats, including Pelosi, multiple times. These are documented facts. The question the DOJ investigation should be asking isn't just who knew, it's who was running this. Pelosi was either directing the operation, enabling it, or so thoroughly compromised herself that she couldn't stop it. Either way, the Speaker of the House let a Chinese asset sit in America's most classified briefings for years. That's not negligence. You know what they call that? It's called treason. So let me leave you with this. The progressive commentator, Nomiki Konst, not a conservative, a progressive, watched Swalwell hit on her aggressively at a DNC meeting with Donna Brazile in the room. Senators watching, press present, out in the open like a man who knew nobody would ever hold him accountable. That's what total protection looks like. That's what happens when the party apparatus decides that you're useful. Now Hakeem Jeffries is dodging questions about what he knew. Robert Garcia claims he never heard the rumors. The open secret was apparently only secret to the people now running the Democrat caucus. How convenient, right? So share this video with everybody who needs to understand what the Chinese Communist Party ran. An intelligence operation through the House Intelligence Committee, and Democrat leadership let it happen. Drop a comment. Do you think Pelosi should face criminal charges? Yes or no? And since you made it this far, text raw feed to 844-840-4963. That's how we stay connected. And check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. I'm Gary Franchi. Stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.